The miraculous event of the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 created a resurgence of Jewish pride, identity, and passion all around the Jewish world. The Jewish Day School movement in South Africa was founded in this way. In April 1950, at the Bnei Akiva conference in Johannesburg, and at the urging of the Rabbi of Mizrahi, Rabbi Dr. Michael Kasowski, a resolution was adopted to establish a Yeshiva school in Johannesburg. The resolution was accepted by the National Conference of Hapoel HaMizrahi. Only 3 years later, in 1953, the Mizrahi and Bnei Akiva movements founded the first Torah school in Southern Africa, the Bnei Akiva Yeshiva, which would later be called the Yeshiva College. Under the leadership of Rabbi Kasowski and the first dean, Rabbi David Sanders, the yeshiva grew from a handful of boys to 50 young men in its first 10 years by 1963. During these years, alongside the great pioneering efforts of Rabbi Kasowski, another outstanding leader emerged to play a major role in the growth of Yeshiva College, Rabbi Joseph Bronner. In 1963, a young rabbi from Tel's Yeshiva in Cleveland, Ohio, was brought out to serve as the Associate Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Rabbi Tanzer. At this very time, Israel elected a new Prime Minister, Levi Eshkol, and a new President, Zalman Shazar. The Tanzers arrived in South Africa against the backdrop of far-reaching political events, which isolated South Africa internationally. Sharpeville, which had occurred only 3 years before, had resulted in a prolonged national state of emergency. 1963, the year of their arrival, also coincided with events leading up to the historic Rivonia treason trial. A lesser couple may have been daunted by such ominous unrest, but Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer were clearly made of sterner stuff. How the times have changed. During the Tanzers' very first year in South Africa, they established a small minyan in Glen Hazel, which took place in the school library. Amazingly, this was the first minyan in the entire Glen Hazel area, and there were less than 5 Shomrei Shabbat families at the time. This small minyan has grown into the Yeshiva College campus, with 7 regular Shabbat morning minyanim, attracting over 1,000 people of all ages on a regular Shabbat. In 1966, Rabbi Tanzer was promoted to Rosh Yeshiva, and under the leadership of Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer, Yeshiva College School has enjoyed explosive growth with around 1,000 learners, and today is not only the first, but the largest Torah school in Southern Africa. The fledgling minyan in the library grew over a 3-year period to an active and vibrant community of over 200 families. The residents of the Selwyn Siegel Hostel began joining the shul on a regular basis and had their own seats provided over the Amin Noraim. At this time in Israel, the miraculous Six-Day War had just transpired, with the returning of the old city of Jerusalem and the Kotel to Jewish sovereign control for the first time in almost 2,000 years. Yitzhak Rabin chose to name this war the Six-Day War in order to evoke the 6 days of creation. On South African shores, in that same year, a creation of our own was taking place. The Menorah Primary School, the first Torah primary school in Southern Africa, was founded with 70 children in 4 classes. Interestingly, 1967 was the year in which Dr. Chris Barnard performed the world's first successful heart transplant. On some analogous level, it was as if Rabbi Tanzer had activated the heart of a burgeoning Jewish community. A girls' high school was established in 1969, and in that very same year, the Tanzer's youngest daughter was born. aftermath of the Six-Day War, they named her Ziona, reflecting the family's love of Zion, Israel. Yeshiva College launched a Yeshiva Gdolah in 1973, and Rabbi Tanzer brought his close friend Rabbi Israel Goldfein to South Africa to serve as its head, with around 30 students studying on the Yeshiva College campus as part-time university students and full-time Yeshiva students. 1976, the year of the Soweto riots, was a period of turbulence and uncertainty that sparked both mass immigration and aliyah. Amongst those that remained, an increasing number of families in various parts of Johannesburg sought to explore their Jewish roots. What better place to do so than in Glen Hazel? In that same year, the new and beautiful Glen Hazel Shul was officially opened on the Yeshiva College campus to accommodate the continuous growth of the community. Just 2 years later, in 1978, Rabbi Goldfein was able to branch out to create what has become the Yeshiva Gedolah of Johannesburg, a spin-off of the Yeshiva College campus. In 1979, Rabbi Tanzer brought Rabbi Aaron Pfeiffer to South Africa to head up the newly created Solomon Bronner Rabbinic Academy. At a later stage, Rabbi Pfeiffer founded the Yeshiva Maharsha community, another spin-off of the Yeshiva College campus. The new school building to house the Leila Bronner Girls High School was built in 1980. This honored many remarkable years of contribution of Rabbi Joseph Bronner and Professor Leila Bronner's contribution to Mizrahi, Emunah, and the Yeshiva College campus. In this same year in Israel, a basic law was passed entitled Jerusalem, Capital of Israel, strengthening the 1967 annexation of the Old City as the eternal capital of the State of Israel. In 1988, Rabbi Tanzer is appointed President of the South African Rabbinic Association and a member of the Gauteng Council of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. 1990 heralded the beginning of the demise of apartheid as F.W. de Klerk announced the unbanning of the ANC, PAC, and SACP alongside the release of Nelson Mandela. There is no doubt that in times of social, political, and economic change and turmoil, man searches for order and predictability. In terms of the Jewish community, many previously unaffiliated Jews and Jewish families found meaning and clarity within the warmth and cohesion of the unique Glen Hazel community, which Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer so lovingly created. In 1994, Nelson Mandela became the country's first democratically elected president. 1995 was a proud and eventful year for Israel, South Africa, the Tanzers, and the Glen Hazel community. Jerusalem 3,000-year celebrations began in Israel. At this very time, Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer's groundbreaking work caught the eye of the international community, and the school was awarded the prestigious Jerusalem Prize for Excellence in Jewish Education. In addition to South Africa's proud victory in the Rugby World Cup in the same year, Mrs. Tanzer was appointed the Dean of the Girls' High School, an appointment which came after decades of fulfilling many inspiring teaching positions. In 2000, and to cater to the growing needs of the Shul campus, a beautiful additional facility was built to accommodate the growth of the Tzirei Tzion Minyan, later becoming the Mizrahi Yeshiva Shul. In Israel, Birthright was launched, which would bring 350,000 young adults from all over the world on free learning trips to Israel in the ensuing years. Mark Shuttleworth blasted off into outer space in 2002, while Torah learning grew to even greater heights at the school with the launch of the Masifta Boys High School Extension Program, and later the Shalhevet Girls High School Learning Program. The The Yeshiva celebrated its Jubilee year in 2003, along with Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer's 40 years of dedicated service. 2007 was a year for recognizing icons. Rabbi Tanzer was appointed as honorary life member of the South African Rabbinic Association, while Shimon Peres was voted in as the State of Israel's 9th president. 2007 proves a celebratory year for South African sport, with the Springboks going on to defeat the English 15-6 in the 2007 Rugby World Cup. 2 years later, in 2009, Rabbi Tanzer is honored as a worthy recipient of the Eric Sampson Mendel Kaplan Communal Service Award for outstanding service to Jewish causes in South Africa. 2010 was a year of great expansion. Israel opened its gates to 8,000 Falashamura, descendants of the Ethiopian Jews, while South Africa hosted many hundreds of thousands of tourists for the World Cup soccer final. In that same year, Yeshiva College campus in Mizrahi launched the Beit Mordechai Campus Kollel at the heart of the Yeshiva campus. The girls' high school celebrated the completion of the multi-purpose triple-story complex, housing a Beit Midrash, auditorium, boardroom, computer center, and canteen.
Rabbi Tanzer rocks!
It is so hard to imagine what Johannesburg Jewry in general, the Glen Hazel area and Yeshiva College specifically, would have looked like had a certain young 20-something-year-old couple, Abraham and Marcia Tanzer, not arrived on South African shores 50 years previously. Tonight, we all salute and pay tribute to you, our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi and Mrs. Tanzer, and your family, for the immeasurable role that you played and continue to play, and the thousands of people's lives you continue to transform. One family at a time, one person at a time, one child at a time.
Everybody to about table, help yourself. This is what you're having while you help yourselves to the food. Please help yourselves.